This is the Bentley Supersports, a new hardcore take on the Continental GT. Now, there are people who don't like the Continental GT. I call this group people who've never been in or driven a Continental GT. They're just such fantastic things. However, they do have one problem. Yep, they're not exactly a great drift car. Now, not really a deal breaker because this is a luxury GT, but somebody at Bentley clearly thinks it is because this has gone extreme. Rear wheel drive only, nearly 500 kilos lighter than the car on which it's based, and it slides a lot. Anyway, we're going to cover the full breadth of what this car can do by doing this, just a proper car this, and this, and obviously this. So, hold on guys, okay, don't just skid around in the Supersports, at least talk about the cool lightweight details and the interior. Okay, we'll also give you the skinny on how Bentley made this thing so skinny and look at the gorgeous stripped out, well in Bentley terms, stripped out interior. I think that's every, oh God, okay. Don't forget it's the 100th anniversary of the Supersports, so talk about the history. We're also going to cover the amazing heritage of this car. It's 100 years of the Supersports badge. We'll show you all the cars that went before it. Okay, I think that's everything. Yep, that is everything. But we are going to need this, look. Look, I'm excited. It's going to be a good day at work. We're ready.
So yeah, this is the first rear-drive Conti GT ever. The lightest Bentley for 85 years at just a hair under 2,000 kilos, and definitely the wildest Bentley road car for generations, maybe ever. It's the first project developed completely under the watchful eye of Dr. Frank Stefan Walliser, formerly of Porsche, and it's tempting to think of it as a kind of supersized, super-powered GT3. Just 500 will be built, starting from £343,900, but despite the low volume, there has been a very high degree of care and engineering applied.
So the 4-litre twin turbocharged V8 has a stronger crankcase, upgraded cylinder heads and bigger turbos for 666 PS. That's 658 horsepower, 590 foot-pounds of torque. It breathes through a complete full-length titanium Akrapovič exhaust. Power goes to the rear wheels only, as you just saw, through a revised dual-clutch gearbox, 8-speed, and an E-diff as well. The rear track, 16mm wider, it retains rear-wheel steering. But best of all, no hybrid at all.
The Supersports still utilises Bentley's 48-volt active anti-roll bar system for body control and has recalibrated steering, ESC and 3 drive modes: Touring, Bentley mode and Sport. Brakes are carbon ceramic and the largest in the world, 440mm discs up front with 10 piston calipers. Bentley claim the Supersports will do 192 miles an hour and 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, but also say the numbers aren't really the story. Look closely and you can see why.
The lightweighting is pretty extreme in this thing. We've talked about the titanium exhaust already, but we also have a carbon fibre roof. These 22-inch forged wheels are from Manthey Racing of Porsche fame. We've also got carbon fibre lower front bumper and front splitter, carbon fibre side sills and all this aero stuff. More aero at the rear, fixed carbon fibre wing, and obviously inside this car is now a strict 2-seater. So let's have a little look at how Bentley does a stripped out interior.
But before we do that, I want to try and put that 500 kilo or more weight saving into perspective, because it is a lot.
This is the Caterham 170R and it's an entire car. It's got a chassis and 4 wheels and an engine and a gearbox and a rear differential. And it weighs 440 kilos, so even with me in it, it's probably lighter than the total savings that Bentley have found on that Supersports. That's pretty amazing, isn't it? Okay, so the interior, well, it's a Bentley, so it's really, really lovely. We've got this diamond turned aluminium dash. The seats are more supported, so we've got still a level way adjustable, but more supportive, a bit more lateral G, but there's not that much really going on in here that's different. Effectively, it's the same lovely Bentley that we know. We've got the screen that will disappear, which is fantastic. The driver display itself is a little bit nicer. So we've got lap timer, we've got lateral Gs, but really it's Bentley as you know it in here, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a proper car, this. Really, really nice and lovely and relaxing when you're in it as well.
Okay, we're clearly having fun here, but there are some very serious things about this car. For example, Bentley say it will pull 1.3 G of lateral force on the optional Pirelli P0 Trofeo RS tyres, and that it makes 300 kilos more downforce than a Conti GT. So that's a total of, well, 300 kilos. Anyway, this car truly represents a forensic approach to making a driver-focused Continental GT, which is an intriguing and slightly odd concept. But let's go in with an open mind and see if a lightweight, heavyweight, stripped out luxury sports car is actually a thing or not.
Well, I've been looking forward to this. The Supersports sounds right up my street. But funnily enough, when you first get in it, I talked earlier about how lovely Continental GTs are just to be in, to travel in, and they really are. And obviously this car still has those bones. They've stripped out a lot of stuff, all the fat if you like, but the basics are still there. So this is a prototype car, and it really is. I've got like a kill switch in here, and there's all sorts of prototype paperwork with logs of where this car's been driven and where it's going next. And they say this isn't the final standard that owners will experience, but the quality's already off the scale. And it's really interesting that Bentley can put themselves into this new position where they keep all this lovely luxury and usability, which they do literally better than anyone else, I think. But then they can sharpen up the dynamics. And this Supersport, yes, there's only going to be 500 built, 350 grand plus extras. But it also signals a bit of a change in direction, and Bentley realised that there is a demand for more driver-focused Bentleys, and the chassis now are so good. You know, there's Panamera architecture under here, that they can afford to push this car into an ever more extreme place. So this is like the first of many, although it isn't the first Supersports, and I was told I have to tell you about the history. So let's have a little look at the Supersports history before we come back and drive the cars properly. So this is where the Supersport story began. This is a 1926 car, number 12 of 18 built. Originally with a 3-litre engine, they all did, but in the early 30s this was modified. Now has a 4.5-litre engine. They lowered the chassis and body at the same time, and then it raced at Brooklands in that era 40 times with great success. The owner was Kit Baker Carr, and it's just wild to drive this thing. It has a central throttle pedal, it has all sorts of gauges and switches, I don't know what they do. And the engine in this car, EXP5 it's known as, actually won Le Mans in 1928. So this is a piece of history, but 100 years later, Bentley have gone back to lightweight, rear-wheel drive, lightweight. Bentleys were never that light anyway. But yeah, these cars are brothers. Excuse me while I try and get out of this contraption. So this is the start of the Supersport story, but it's not really, is it? Because although this thing is super cool, it's 100 years old. This is the start of the modern Supersport story. 2009, 621 horsepower when the base car was 552, 110 kilos lighter. Big thing for the Bentley Continental GT, instead of like a 50-50 split, it was 60% rear drive, 40 front. Cool stuff. Veyron front seats, which I really like. No rear seats in this one, they did do them as an option. Big fat carbon fibre strut brace. They actually made 1,207 coupes of this. And I have to say, this is a forgotten car and it's absolutely brilliant. It's so much more than the sum of its parts. And if you're looking for a vaguely bargainful, monster, beautiful luxury sports coupe, this is the one. Okay, then we move on to the next Supersports. This one is not as cool, to be honest. 2017, 710 PS, so 700 horsepower. They built 710 as well in coupe form. It's a cool thing, if you like, but it's not a Supersports in the sense of that early car, which is fantastic. And I'm glad to report that the new Supersports is obviously taking little bits from this old bad boy, a little bit of this one, and then making it much more extreme. So that's the history lesson. Let's get back to driving. So that's the Supersports story, but immediately this thing is another world. There's two tyre options with this car, the P0 and the P0 Trofeo RS, that new tyre that's super quick. And I've got some of those on, brand new set of Trofeo RS. And the car has a sharpness and a control and hangs on in a way that I've never ever experienced with a Bentley. In fact, so much so I keep hitting the limiter because it's just getting through the gears. The ride quality feels so much more aggressive than other Bentleys. The body control's really flat. It's got new twin chamber air dampers, different springs, and everything has been leveled up to this really aggressive tyre. I can just turn it in, there's a surface change here. Just soaks it up. And there's an agility that's just absolutely mega. The gear change has got a punch to it, but I think they could actually go further. It's been reprogrammed, but this is a PDK box, and I think they could push it even harder, make the shifts a bit snappier, and actually you could shorten the gearing because it's got so much traction despite being rear-wheel drive that you just want to have that immediate punch out of the corners. It starts to feel its weight on the brakes. Because they've stripped out so much weight, they haven't had to upgrade the ceramic brakes. They're already the biggest ceramic brakes on planet Earth. Of course, there is something it does that's all new to the Continental GT, because we do not have driven front wheels. So you can slide it for fun in basically any gear. It's childish and doesn't really prove very much, but it is quite fun. And it's so easy because it's got all the power and the long wheelbase. It's just very, very cool. Let's try it, like fourth gear. No problem. Probably do fifth gear, to be honest. It really is quite a strange thing to get your head around, because of course it isn't sharp in the way of other stripped out GT3 type performance cars, but it is a massive amount sharper than a normal Bentley. It feels really up for being hustled. It's got this incredibly sort of indulgent, slidey style, and it's still got so much good Bentleyness. So you add all that up, and it's quite an appealing thing, I have to say. Yeah, for me, shorter ratios, a bit more snap to the gearbox, but otherwise, pretty bloody good fun. Ugh. Well, it's been another tough day at work. I've got dirty hands, ridiculous. But I've had a lot of fun because the Bentley Supersports is extremely stupid, completely unnecessary. And if you don't like Continental GTs, it probably won't win you over. But I do like Continental GTs, and I like them even more when they're rear-wheel drive, smoke tyres for fun, and just have a sense of humour. That's what we all need to do in these difficult times. The Bentley Supersports is a car for our times, to make us happy and to make us look fondly on the world.